Welcome back to The Five. So this weekend, the Obama administration announced a deal that they believe will help prevent Iran from developing a nuclear weapon. Reaction was, to say the least, mixed.
These are substantial limitations which will help prevent Iran from building a nuclear weapon.
Israel is in fact safer than it was yesterday.
It's a historic mistake. It's not made the world a safer place.
This is the opening gun of a nuclear arms race in the Middle East.
The worst, practically the worst of all possible outcomes, because now what you have here is a nuclear capable state.
We have just rewarded very bad and dangerous behavior.
This might be a diversionary tactic by the administration, which is desperately looking for good news.
All right, we're going to kick this around here. So, Eric, even if you appreciate the goal of what the administration is trying to do and support the concept so that the president, any president of the United States, isn't put into a position of having to make that decision, what troubles me is that everyone that I respect and read and think intellectually about these that I pay attention to, they're all saying that it's a terrible deal. Is there something in this negotiation that those people are not seeing?
I haven't found it, Dana. I read almost the details of the deal that the Iranians, basically here's what the deal breaks down to. We're going to lift a lot of the, not all of them, but a lot of financial sanctions that have, frankly, worked with Iran. So in other words, they're going to be able to get petrodollars again, they're going to be able to sell their minerals around the world, and they're going to be able to get cash. I'm trying to figure out what we got out of the deal. Basically, what we got was they're going to have to, they're 20% uranium. They're going to have to bring it down to 3.5%. They're not destroying it. They're just going to dilute it back down to 3.5%. So we have to believe they're really doing that, because the 20% is weapons grade. The 3.5% is not weapons grade. We haven't asked them to dismantle any of their centrifuges. We haven't asked them to dismantle their big, heavy water centrifuge. That all these things are in place so that they can create a nuclear weapon. But we haven't asked them to do that. I guess what we're getting, though, is UN inspectors in the door, and hopefully they're not tricked.
Bob, one of the things that also happened this weekend in the New York Times by unnamed administration officials, they were saying that the big idea here was to give Iran a taste of sanctions relief to see if Iran might agree to real concessions later. Now, this is administration officials admitting this, and at the same time that John Kerry is saying that this is real. I mean, do you think that they have a messaging problem?
Yeah, well, they may have a messaging problem. Let's remember, this is not just the United States. It is 6 powers who agreed to this, and the sanctions that the United States will be lifting is about 5%. What are we going to get out of it? One, they're not going to be able to get any new centrifuges. Now, they could cheat. I mean, the Iranians have had a history of cheating. But my question to all these people, Netanyahu's position was the same as these other people speaking, and that is they do not trust them at all. Don't give them any breaks at all. They're going to build these things. My answer is, in the meantime, nothing's happened, and they continue to move down the road. Why can't we give 6 months and have inspectors in there that know what they're looking at, and at least give it a shot? If it doesn't work, we can put the sanctions back up.
Your bookie's calling you.
The White House.
Yeah, the White House calling.
The White House is like,
I think it's a very, very, very positive development.
This is not positive. If you study, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, I just don't think that it's positive at all. And if you take a realistic look at it, I mean, it's put us smack dab in the middle of the Middle East tensions between a Sunni and a Shia war, essentially. And now, all of a sudden, our new besties are Iran and Syria and Russia. We're alienating our most powerful allies
Germany,
by making
France,
this deal. And
England.
And it's a Faustian deal at best, because these are people who have never honored any agreement that they've been part of. So once again, we're going to be humiliated. The U.S. is the country with the soft hands.
So what's your answer?
Can I get
what
Greg?
What is the alternative?
Don't do deals.
You had cell phone violation, therefore it is Greg's turn. Uninterrupted. Greg, I'm going to ask you this question about language.
Yes.
Okay, how important is language of being precise in negotiation? Do you think that it is okay for the United States, the White House, to come out and say they do not we are not giving them an implicit right to develop nuclear uranium? But the Iranians, they went home, and that was what they said that they got out of the deal, that they were told that they now have a right. Isn't language here?
Yeah, it's weird. Basically, they can keep their centrifuges if they like them. Here's what I don't understand. They can keep their centrifuges, but we can't have a Keystone pipeline. That drives me nuts, because the fact is, the best way to get out of this bizarre world that is the Middle East is to develop your own oil power, which is what the United States is. Does it mean also that I can torment gays and treat women as crap? Does that mean I'll get $7 billion? Because that's what we just did. And it worries me that our adversaries are happier than our allies about that. And I'm very suspicious when people I don't trust, like The Guardian, call it a major achievement. When people who are bozos think it's wonderful, that scares me.
Then you know it's bad.
And the other thing is, do other planets have a Middle East? Is it just the Earth's problem? I mean, does Neptune have a fiery cyst on its butt that it can't lance? I mean, Israel is like your buddy who's living in a bad part of town, and you just wish he would move, but he's not going to move. So you got to keep going over to the Middle East on holidays and visit him.
Listen,
your car gets stolen.
If God gave the world an enema.
Knows a lot about this is the Germans, and the Germans are behind this 100%. Here's the difference.
Yeah, because they want to sell the oil.
No, wait a second.
It is all about oil.
It is not all about oil. It's far more complex than that. Come on. This is something, if you let this go, you could, and you do nothing else, they will develop a nuclear weapon. You sit there and you say, okay, don't do anything with these people.
And they will develop a nuclear weapon.
Can I ask you about, so if it's much bigger than what is it about?
What is it
Why
about?
do the Iranians need 1,600 centrifuges? Why did they need to enrich uranium? They have 2.5 million barrels of oil per day coming out of their ground. They have more than enough that they use here. You know what they're doing? They're enriching uranium, and they're exporting it to countries that have a bomb,
First
and they're
of all, they
developing
need
their
more
own.
centrifuges
For
to get
what?
this done.
And we
because
paid
they
for it.
want to develop a nuclear weapon.
Okay, so
what's the best way to stop that? You want to sit back and just be mute and be all you votes be tough about Iran. In the meantime, they develop a nuclear weapon.
You want to lift the economic sanctions on Iran?
Oh, a small percentage of economic sanctions.
We'll lift them all. Just dismantle your centrifuges. Deal. Goodbye.
Because by the way,
Can I ask one other thing? Because, Bob, you have been on this case for many months on behalf of Pastor Saeed, who is the American who's being held in Iran and is being denied medicines, and you have been the one calling on Iran to do something. The State Department actually said that they did not even bring up, that he was not mentioned in the discussions. Why would they even say that?
I don't know why they would say it. I suppose to preempt somebody like me and others are going to say, why didn't you bring it up? I mean, it seems to be that as part of this deal, I certainly would have done that. I mean, that's not a tough one to do.
The least that they could do?
That's the least they can do, but they don't have genuine humanitarian concerns. And by the way, wait for it within the next 12 weeks. Okay, North Korea, going to fire a couple of missiles again because no one.
Is that a prediction?
Prediction.
Prediction right here on the 5. All right, coming up, Al Sharpton.